There is one simple technique that could get you that pay rise, close that business deal, or win any argument. The Secret of Socrates. Hi everyone, today we are diving into what might be the most powerful skill you can develop, the art of persuasion. So whether you are trying to convince your boss of a promotion, negotiate with investors, or even just get that car mechanic to fix their mistake properly, this technique works. Now, Dale Carnegie wrote about 12 different ways to win people to your way of thinking in his classic book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. But here's the thing, I'm only going to share one of them with you today because this one technique is so incredibly effective that I have never needed to use the other 11. And I'm not exaggerating here. I have used this method countless times and it works. I have taught it to friends, colleagues, even family members, and they come back to me amazed at how well it works. In fact, drop a comment below after you try this and let me know your results. I bet you will be shocked at how effective it is. But before we get into the technique, let me ask you something. Have you ever been in an argument where you know you were right, but the other person just wouldn't agree with you? Maybe you have all the facts and the logic, but they kept saying no, no, no. Here's what most people don't understand about human psychology. Once someone says no to you, their entire body and mind literally shift into rejection mode. Professor Overstreet explained it perfectly. When someone says no, their pride kicks in. They feel like they have to stay consistent with that position, even if they realize later they were wrong. Think about it. Have you ever found yourself defending a position just because you have already taken a stand? Even when you start having doubts, this isn't just some old school sales trick, by the way. When I was putting this video together, I wanted to see if there were scientific evidence or maybe a recent scientific experiment to back up this method. And I found a ton of it. I found out that this principle even has a name. It's called the foot in the door technique. Take this study, for example. They looked at how agreeing to a small request influences compliance with a larger one. What they found was fascinating. Participants who first agreed to a minor task were significantly more likely to agree to a subsequent, much larger request compared to those who were only given the large request. It clearly shows that those initial small agreements literally pave the way for bigger ones. So here's how it works. Instead of starting with what you disagree about, begin by finding things you both agree on. Get the other person saying yes 2 or 3 times before you even mention your main request. When someone says yes, their whole body language changes. They lean forward. They become more up, more receptive. It's like you are programming their brain to be in agreement mode. But when they say no, everything shuts down. They cross their arms, lean back, and their nervous system literally prepares for battle. Now, Dale Carnegie again gives a perfect example. Someone called Eddie Snow wanted to rent a bow. The first shop said they don't rent. So he called another shop. The owner could have just said the same thing. But instead he said, I am sorry, we don't rent bows anymore because we cannot afford to. But can I ask you, have you rented bows before? And Eddie said yes, several years ago. That's the first yes. And this man said, you probably paid around $25 to $30 for the rental, right? And Eddie again said yes, that's the second yes. Then the guy asked, are you someone who likes to save money? Eddie said yes. And who's going to say no to that? That is the third yes. Then he explained, we have complete bow sets on sale for just $35. You could buy a whole set for just $5 more than renting. That's why we stopped renting. Doesn't that make sense? And Eddie said yes and bought the set, picked up several other items and became a regular customer, all because the shop owner got him saying yes first. Now, here's why Dale Carnegie called this the Secret of Socrates. This great philosopher completely changed how humans think about everything. But here's what is fascinating. Socrates never told people they were wrong, never lectured them, never argued. Instead, he asked questions that people had to agree with. Simple questions that led to obvious yes answers. He would keep asking these questions, getting agreement after agreement, until suddenly his opponents found themselves agreeing with conclusions they would have fought against just minutes earlier. This became known as the Socrates method, and it's still taught in law schools and universities today because it's so effective. So how do you use this in your own life? It's actually simpler than you think. Before you make your request or present your argument, find 2 to 3 things the other person will obviously agree with. Start there. Build that momentum of agreement. Master this technique and I guarantee you will be amazed at the results. Try it this week, whether it is with your boss, your partner, or a client, or even your kids. Find something you agree on first. Get those yeses flowing, then make your request. And here's what I want you to do. Come back and tell me in the comments below how it worked for you. I'm really curious to hear your stories. And if you found this useful, hit that like button and subscribe for more videos. And until next time, remember, the most powerful people aren't those who argue the loudest, but those who get others to agree with them willingly. And I will see you in the next one. Cheers.